Hello everyone. Hopefully everybody got their notes down on independent and dependent events. So we're going to use our knowledge from what we learned to answer these questions. Now you're going to have a worksheet that doesn't look, it looks exactly like this. However, you're going to have different numbers, okay? So first, let's go over what an independent event is. If it's independent, then the probability of A times the probability of B is equal to the probability of A and B. Now, you can either write it this way with an and, but it's a little faster if you put this symbol, which also means and. Now, the reason I use a symbol is I'm going to be writing this over and over, and I don't want to be writing and every single time, okay? These two, this symbol here and mean the same thing. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with the first one. Now, it just asks to determine if the events A and B are independent. Okay, if they're not independent, then they're going to be dependent. So let's start. Okay, first we have probability of A is equal to 13 over 20. So let's write that down. But we know that probability of A times the probability of B is equal to the probability of A and B, okay? Now, if this is true, then we know that the events are independent, okay? So let's find out. Well, what is probability of A? Well, that's 13 over 20 times the probability of B, which is 11 over 20. If I multiply it, is it going to give me this? 143 over 400. Well, what is 13? So I'm going to multiply straight across the top. 13 times 11 is 143, and 20 times 20 is 400. So this is correct, okay, when you multiply them. So that means that would make this independent. Now let's try the next one. We're going to see if these are independent events. If they are, it would mean that the probability of A times the probability of B is going to give us the probability of A and B. All right, what's the probability of A? Well, it is 3 over 10 times, what's the probability of B? 2 over 5. Is that going to give us 3 over 25? Well, let's find out. What is 3 times 2? That's 6. Okay, and in the denominators, we have 10 times 5, which is 50. Now I can simplify these two. I can simplify them by dividing both top and bottom by 2. And that gives me 3 over 25. Okay, which is what we have here. So that would mean that these events, the event A and event B, are independent. Okay, so I'm just going to move a little bit more quickly. I'm not going to do 4 and 6. I'm going to do 3 and 5 and move on to the next part. So probability of A times the probability of B, is that equal to the probability of A and B? Well, let's find out. Probability of A is 7 over 10. Probability of B is 9 over 20. Is that equal to 63 over 200? Well, 7 times 9 is 63, and 10 times 20 is 200. So yeah, this would be an independent event. Okay, number 5, probability of A times the probability of B should be the probability of A and B. So 11 over 20 times 1/2, is that equal to 11 over 50? All right, let's multiply across the top. It is 11. Across the bottom here, 20 times 2 is not 50. So this is not independent. Not independent. If I spell it wrong, sorry. So this would make it a dependent event. Dependent. Okay, so now we're going to go here, and now that we know we have to multiply to get the probability of A and B. Now we're going to find the missing probability. So we're going to do the same thing. We know that the probability, this is saying that the events are independent. So you are going to be using this because this is what it means to be independent. A and B. Okay. So do I have the probability of A? No, that's what I'm trying to solve for. Probability of A. And then it says times the probability of B. But what is the probability of B? Well, that's equal to 1/4. So by substitution, I'm replacing it with 1/4. And the probability of A and B is equal to 1/10. So here I'm putting 1/10 by substitution. All right. Now I want to isolate. I want to find out what probability of A is. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to undo this multiplication. We need to undo this 1/4. So here we would multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So it divides out. So we're left with the probability of A on this side. But since I multiplied here by the reciprocal, I have to do it to the other side as well. So now I multiply straight across the top. 1 times 4 is 4. 10 times 1 is 10. I simplify by dividing top and bottom by 2. I get 2/5. So that is what the probability of A is. Okay. Next one. So here we have probability of A times the probability of B, probability of A and B, because they're considered independent events. All right, so we have this guy, probability of A. We need to find the probability of B, and that is going to give us the probability of A and B, which is right here. Okay, which is equal to 7/100. Okay, I could do the same thing. I can multiply by the reciprocal. Always works. Okay, 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. It divides out. It doesn't cancel out. It divides out. Okay, and so I'm left with the probability of B is equal to 7 times 5 is 35. 100 times 1 is 100. Okay, so did I do that right? 5/1, 35. Yeah, it should be fine. Yay. Why do I feel like I did this one wrong? 5, 1/5, 5/1, 100. Oh, because I could simplify. I forgot to simplify. All right, so here I could have either cross canceled here. 5 divided by 5 is 1. or 100 divided by 5 is 20. Or I could have done it here, divided both top and bottom by 5. So I guess 7/20. There we go. That's our solution there, 7/20. It's the probability of B. Okay, I'm going to show you a quick little shortcut. You can use this shortcut if you feel comfortable with your factors. Probability of A and B. Okay, so what is the probability of A? 3/10. What are we trying to solve for? Probability of B. And it goes to 3/20. So I'm going to write the fraction here. So here I'm going from 3 to 3. So I think, oh, 3 times what number is going to give me a 3? Well, 3 times 1. Write this a little bit more clear. 3 times 1. Okay, so now at the bottom, in our denominator, 10 times what number is going to give me 20? Well, that's 2. So this is my fraction. This is my ratio. So the probability of B is 1/2. That's another way to do it. You could have done the reciprocal. All right, we'll do one more. Okay, this is the last one we'll do, and then you guys can work on the worksheet. So these are just examples that you don't have the same numbers. Probability of A times the probability of B is equal to the probability of A and B. So 9/20 is here. We need to find the probability of B. is equal to 27 over 80. Okay? So 9 times what number gives me 27? Oh, that's 3. 20 times what number gives me 80? That's 4. So that means that the probability of B is going to give me 3 over 4. Okay, so you have a worksheet very similar. Complete it, take a picture, turn it in. Okay, and happy Friday. Bye.